implementation 2017-21 CBA. On 9th October 2025, JNC of the unions and the university councils was convened and agreed to constitute a joint technical committee to re-examine the financial requirements of 2017-21 CBA and verify the calculations by SRC. The joint technical committee undertook its work from 10th to 13th October 2025 in Machakos and concluded in its report as follows. 1, the verification revealed that the workings of SRC that indicated the outstanding balance of 624 million was arrived through an erroneous method. The SRC methodology was inconsistent with the diagonal method of calculation of arrears as approved by the Employment and Labor Relations Court, and therefore was invalid. The verification also established that the total outstanding balance amounted to 7.9 billion. SRC and Ministry of Education were dissatisfied with the finding and stated that the unions were confused and we needed to go back to school. SRC, Ministry of Education, and IPSCF commissioned yet another verification exercise conducted jointly by their own officers to the exclusion of the unions. The audit exercise was concluded between 18th and 21st October 2025 and concluded that the amount owed to university staff as at 21st October 2025 is Kenya shillings 7,944,519,929 shillings. In essence, confirming the figures that had been established 6 years ago in 2019 as correct. On 24th October 2025, the union met with the IPCCF. During the meeting, upon confirmation of IPCCF that the Ministry of Education, SRC, and National Treasury, after 6 years of needless struggle and suffering by university staff, that the initial cost of the CBA had been confirmed, and the union demanded the immediate release of the outstanding balance, taking into account that the amount in question was mutually agreed upon and became due 6 years ago. In that meeting, IPCCF came up with a proposal to settle the 8 years decade, 8 years arrears in 3 phases. If you check the minutes that I've attached, the payment in phases was a proposal from IPCCF, and the union did not agree with that proposal. So it took us aback when the Ministry of Education and National Treasury now adopted a phased payment. It therefore can be concluded that we have social partners that do not believe in the philosophy of collective bargaining agreement, because they come up with their own position, and it is that position that they want to force down our throats. The court judgment of 15 January 2021 did not direct that after ascertaining the additional figure that it should be implemented in phases. I've attached the judgment there. There's nowhere in that judgment where the court directed that we should be paid in phases.
Order SG. You've given us a document we are following.
Okay.
I would request that you strictly follow it. Those are the issues you'll raise when you are actually answering questions.
Okay.
Stick to it.
The workers were demanding. The workers were not demanding any interest on the late payment.
Order. How many minutes are remaining?
How many? 10.
Time
6 minutes.
6 minutes.
You have 6 minutes. Yes.
It is important to note that the workers are not demanding any interest on the late payment. The real figure of the money has been severely eroded over the years by inflation, loss of purchasing power, the introduction of new taxes not in existence in 2019, such as affordable housing levy, SHA deductions, meaning that in effect, only about half of the amount would now accrue to workers. The unions have been unfairly blamed by the stakeholders, including Ministry of Education, here's National Treasury, for the delay in settlement, even though it is the IPCCF Ministry of Education and SRC, who have relied on endless court processes to postpone payment and then shift the blame to the unions. I want now to move to 2025-2029 collective bargaining agreement. While IPCCF has just only agreed after a long delay to commence negotiations on the 2025-29 CBA, the counteroffer presented by government of 3.1 billion to cover the basic salaries for the entire 4-year period with the respect is with respect grossly inadequate as illustrated below. In 2013-2017 CBA, the amount for basic salary and annual increments was 15.2 billion for 4 years. 2017-2021, the same 16.57 billion for salaries and pension component for 4 years. 9.7 for 2 years. Therefore, the unions are taken aback that a CBA that is going to take 4 years is being estimated to cost 3.1 billion. It represents an average annual increment of 2% or cumulative 8.25% over 4 years, where other public sectors, workers in education such as teachers, have been offered 12%, 29.5% increment under their 2025-2029 CBA. The offer falls substantially below the parameters of the Consumer Price Index as provided under the Wage Guidelines 2025, which serve as a reference point for CBA negotiations. Based on CBI projections, a baseline increment of at least 26.1% over the 4 years period would merely serve to compensate for loss of purchasing power. In this context, harmonization with the 29.5% increment according to teachers, the Teacher Service Commission framework would ensure fairness and equity across public sector. I want to move to the way forward, Honorable Chair. Will the unions urge this Honorable Committee to prevail upon IPCCF, Ministry of Education, and the National Treasury to release the outstanding 7.9 billion at once to fully implement 2017-21 CBA. The next, we ask the House to prevail upon IPCCF, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Labor, Social Protection to adopt anti-ministerial and the whole of government approach under the chairmanship of Cabinet Secretary for Labor and Social Protection to engage the unions with a view to expediting the resolution of all outstanding matters, including at the point of drafting and eventual return to work formula. Lastly, we want to impress upon the House to ensure that IPCCF, in collaboration with SRC, the Ministry of Education, and National Treasury, presents a fair and reasonable offer to the unions to facilitate the negotiation, signing, registration, and implementation of 2025-29 CBA without undue delay, as occurred in the 2017-21 CBA. Lastly, Honorable Chair, to support the full implementation of the 2025-29 CBAs once concluded. As we conclude, Uwasu Kusan Kudea would like to appreciate the opportunity granted by the National Assembly Education Committee to provide the perspectives of both academic staff and university staff. Thank you, and may God bless you abundantly.
Thank you. You've made your presentation very well. Now we come to the CS and your team.
Point of order, Chair.
Yes, what's out of order?
Chair, just as a matter of concern, you will find that SRC is adversely mentioned in these presentations, but during the introduction and looking at the letter that invited all the stakeholders seated in front of us, SRC was one of the invited bodies. I didn't hear any SRC member here, neither did I hear the chair reading an apology.
I had indicated in my preliminaries that I I called the SRC personally and the labor relations and the labor CS, and he had indicated that in their submissions and what the SG is saying, they were part and parcel of an agreement which the CS and the team will be able to table before this committee. So they felt that because the issues that they are what is raising, they have already discussed and they have tabled before this. It will not actually have time to do that presentation because it is part of government agencies who are here. And the two top government leaders who are here are the CS National Treasury and the CS Education. So, and they say that they were part of your discussions. Is that okay? They were part of the discussion. So I allowed them because they didn't want to, they said, we have made part of our bargain, but if need be arising out of this discussion, if there is need for us to call them, we shall invite them, if that is the case. Yes, we can. Yes.
Thank you, Chair, for that clarification. And I concur with the Honorable Gisairo. From the presentation we've heard from the union, and I know the ministry will talk about it, the SRC appears to be the main fulcrum around which this mess has been created. And
not to say the
issues that have been created. And if the ministry is confident enough, they can represent SRC, fair enough. But SRC should have appeared here.
Thank you. I think that's proper. Let's go back to
Chair. And in addition, are the unions comfortable with the absence of the SRC?
Honorable Chair, can I answer?
No.
Okay.
First of all, members, I just want us not to go into another discussion about the presence or the non-presence of SRC. Issues will be raised about SRC in this discussion. And because we are the arbitrating committee, the committee might think properly that we invite SRC on its own, and they are going to give us their part of the story. So them being here or not being here, let's not discuss it now. Let's allow the Ministry of Education to make presentation, but we shall know in our discussion that if there is a gap, we shall invite SRC to appear. Proceed, Waziri.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, we are here following your invitation to us to discuss the petition on the funding of the collective bargaining agreement for employees of the public universities and colleges of Kenya. The bargaining collective bargaining agreement for 2017, 2021, and 2025-2029. We note, Chair, that the petition raised that the National Assembly urgently allocates funds for the full implementation of the 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreement, totaling 7.9 billion, and to urgently allocate funds for the implementation of the 2025-2029 collective bargaining agreement, which is not yet done. Chair, we are grateful to the committee for inviting. However, I just wish to give a general context as follows. Chair, the 2017-2021 CBAs were signed on the 28th of October 2019. The government disbursed a total of 8.8 billion towards that CBA between the financial years 2020-2021 and financial year 2021-2022 to facilitate the implementation across the 38 universities that were in existence then and constituent colleges. At the time of commencing the current industrial action, the unions asserted that the sum outstanding under the 2017-2021 CBA was Kenya shillings 7.9 billion, while SRC advised the ministry that the balance was 624 on the basis that part of the 7.9 billion had been paid to the staff through their normal annual increment. Chair, due to these divergent positions and the Secretary Wasu has taken us through the steps that we've gone through, it was deemed necessary to undertake an objective verification exercise through a comprehensive review of the payroll data of all the public universities, and in this exercise, SRC took a leading role. There, a joint verification exercise was conducted by SRC and IPUCCF between 18th and 21st of October 2025, and the verified confirmed balance was 7.9 billion. Out of this figure, Chair, the sum of 200 million had already been released by the universities to the universities and is held by them after the payment of the 8.8 billion, leaving a balance currently of 7.76 billion. Following this verification, Chair, we offered to pay the verified balance in 3 installments of 2.1 billion in the first installment and 2.8 billion in each of the last 2 installments, totaling 7.7 billion. The unions, on the other hand, demanded, which was rejected by unions as well. Their position is still that this 7.9 billion has to be paid in a one-off. Despite our arguments that this money has not been budgeted for, having come to the attention of the ministry after the budget cycle of 2025-2026 had been completed on the 28th of March. Chair, that is the current position. We are ready to continue engaging with the unions to achieve a speedy and amicable resolution of the industrial action and to ensure that the operations of our universities return to normal. We are open to the good faith and candid negotiations, and that's why we were keen on the verification of the actual balance, because there was a divergent view of what was outstanding. Chair, now that the amount is not in dispute, what we need to agree on is the payment arrangements, given that this is a significant amount that had not been budgeted for. Chair, on the issue of the 2025-2029 CBA between the unions and IPUCCF, SRC has issued negotiating beacons, which I think the Secretary General has referred to, guide the negotiations, and there has been an appeal on the opening of that space to allow for further negotiations so that they can come to an agreed position. And at this juncture, Chair, I wish to invite our team from the IPUCCF to make the presentation on the 2017-2021 CBA, as well as the status of the negotiations of the 2025-2029 CBA. Professor.
Professor, I'm seeing the CS has taken around 6 minutes. You'll use 14 minutes. Yes. If you can use less, it will be good.
Yes, Honorable Chair, I'm likely to use less.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable members. IPCF appreciates this opportunity to engage with the committee on a matter of national significance, which directly affects industrial harmony, fiscal sustainability, and the continuity of learning and research in our public universities. With regard to the funding of 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreements, IPCF would respond and state as follows. Number one, that following the signing of the 2017-2021 CBAs on 28th of October 2019, the government disbursed 8.8 billion between financial years 2020-2021 and financial year 2021-2022 to facilitate implementation across the 38 public universities and constituent university colleges that benefited from the said CBAs. Chair, during the subsequent technical engagements, IPUCCF and the 3 trade unions, that is WASU, KUSU, and GUDEA workers, jointly determined that full implementation of the said CBA would require 16.57 billion, inclusive of the employer pension component. A joint verification exercise coordinated by the Ministry of Education was conducted by SRC and IPUCCF between 18th and 21st of October 2025. The exercise confirmed a reconciled and verified outstanding balance of Kenya shillings 7.944 billion as the amount required to fully implement the CBA 2017-2021. Subsequently, the Joint Negotiations Committee, comprising IPUCCF and the three trade unions, formally adopted the said amount at a meeting held on 24th October 2025 at Machakos University. Consequently, Chair, there is no dispute on the balance of 7.944 billion required to fully settle the 2017-2021 CBS. It is notable that during the meeting of 24th October 2025, IPUCCF invited the three unions not only to deliberate and agree on the outstanding amount for full implementation of the 2017-21 CBS, but also to agree on two other things. One, the payment plan for outstanding arrears arising from the 2017-2021 CBS, and number two, a return to work formula for WASU and KUSU to ensure that normalcy would return to the public university sector. In the said meeting, IPUCCF, having consulted with the parent Ministry of Education, proposed to the three trade unions that the outstanding arrears be paid installments. However, the trade unions insisted on immediate one-off payment for the 2017-2021 CBA arrears. Further, the two trade unions, WASU and KUSU, declined to call off the industrial action. They were categorical that they will only call off the strike or resume work when two conditions are fulfilled. That is, one, the outstanding arrears of 2017-2021 CBA are fully settled, and two, the 2025-2029 CBA is negotiated, signed, registered, and implemented. Honorable Chair, the matter of funding has since been referred to the relevant government organs for consideration of appropriate funding modalities and for administrative and budgetary review. Therefore, Chair, just to emphasize that there is no more a dispute between the unions and IPUCCF. All that is required is for payment of the agreed amounts. With regard to the status of 2025-2029 collective bargaining agreement, IPUCF would like to state that each of the three trade unions submitted their CBA proposals for 2025-2029, which were duly acknowledged by IPUCCF, as we have already illustrated in the table and the figures. We received WASU proposal on 3rd February 2025, KUSU proposal on 13th February 2025, and their workers on 27th February 2025, and we duly acknowledge them. In accordance with the SRC guidelines, Honorable Chair, on collective bargaining agreements, IPUCF is required to submit to SRC the documents that we have received together with our recommendations. And therefore, we submitted to SRC these documents on 10th of June 2025. And what we submitted to SRC were individual union demand proposals and also the consolidated recommendations by IPUCCF on what we were proposing to offer the unions. The SRC, Honorable Chair, responded via its letter dated 25th of September 2025, and that provided the negotiation parameters, or what is commonly called beacons, and a further guidance of the letter further guidance was provided by SRC letter dated 6th of October. Honorable Chair, I would like this Honorable House to note that between the time we received our proposals and what we submitted to SRC, there was a lull because of absence of the commissioners. Here, having received the responses of the unions to our counter proposal, IPUCF has analyzed the advisories received from SRC and have subsequently prepared counter offers, which it prepared counter offers which were tabled before the respective unions between February 10th and Friday 10th Saturday 11th and Sunday 12th of October. Honorable Chair, IPCF received responses and appeals from the 3 trade unions on the dates as indicated. Subsequent to receiving the appeals of the trade unions, IPCF has analyzed these responses and IPCF has developed appropriate counter responses to the unions, and IPCF is currently undertaking the process of consultations with the relevant government and constitutional organs, subsequent to which, Honorable Chair, the final phase of the ongoing negotiations with the trade unions will be concluded. IPCF continues to act swiftly and strictly within the guidelines given by SRC and in consultation with the relevant government agencies. And IPCF Chair will continue to work collaboratively with all relevant stakeholders to ensure lawful, transparent, and sustainable implementation. Here, we have made a small reflection on litigation proceedings in relation to the 2017-2021 CBS and 2025-2029 CBS. Upon commencement of the industrial action by the 3 trade unions, IPCF proceeded to court. Subsequently, the court issued orders interdicting the strike on 17th and 18th September 2025 for Kudeha workers and the WASU and KUSU respectively. The said orders were further extended on 15th of October 2025 for the matters of WASU and KUSU, and we have provided an annexure of those orders. The orders of the Employment and Labor Relations Court also directed the parties to a conciliation process under the auspices of the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, as our partners have mentioned. The conciliation meeting took place on 24th of September 2025, and the report of the conciliator dated 30th September 2025 was subsequently filed in court, and we have provided Annexure 3 of the same. The Employment and Labor Relations Court has, in the intervening period, indicated that in the absence of a consent agreement between IPCF and the 2 trade unions of WASU and the KUSU, a ruling has been set down for 11th of December 2025. However, Honorable Chair, it is important to note that Kudeha workers had suspended their industrial action on 19 September 2025 after the Industrial Labor Relations Court interdicted their industrial action on 17th of September 2025. And thereafter, the dispute was amicably settled through a consent adopted dated 15th October as the judgment of the court on 22nd October 2025, and we have presented an annexure. Honorable Chair, the IPCF prays and implores this committee on 3 things. These are our prayers. Number 1, we implore the committee to take cognizance of the ongoing strike, which continues to disrupt teaching, learning, and research across the public universities, and to support all efforts aimed at restoring industrial harmony. Our second prayer, Chair, is that we implore this honorable committee to support the Ministry of Education, the National Treasury and Economic Planning, and SRC in providing the requisite budgetary allocation so that we can dispose of the issues at hand. And the third and final prayer to this honorable committee, Chair, we implore the committee to take note of the court orders issued by the Industrial Labor Relations Court, as well as the inordinate suffering that the disruption of teaching and learning has continued to inflict on public university students, and implore WASU and KUSU to call off the ongoing industrial action to allow the resumption of normal university operations in the public interest. I submit, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Professor Barasa. I think you have used actually less minutes. And from your submissions and even the submissions of WASU, you look like you are at a point of convergence. What you are saying, what they are saying, I'm not seeing any conflict,
There's no conflict whatsoever.
especially on monies. It is now about how to implement what you have arrived at. Is it? And I think
I confirm that,
that is
Honorable
okay. National Treasury.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and the honorable members of the committee, my colleague from the Ministry of Education, and the various trade unions represented here, together with our team from the university management. I, Chairman, really don't have much to say, and I will request, because I had indicated that I would be joining another meeting at 1:15, that I make a very short few remarks, short presentation, and if you'll allow me, I'll step out. If I'll be needed again, I will make myself available for whatever assignment I'll be needed to carry out. But let me make my formal submission as is the procedure. The National Treasury makes this submission on the funding of the 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreement for universities employees as follows. I know the background we have laid the background, both parties have laid the background, but let me just state as follows, that the University's Academic Staff Union, WASU, and the Kenya University Staff Union, KUSU, commenced their industrial action on 17th September 2025 regarding the implementation of the 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreement. It is noted that on the 28th of October 2019, the Interpublic Universities Council Consultative Forum, IPUCC, hence the total cost of implementing the CBA was determined to be 16. to where we were, and the effect may be disaster. Don't know whether, Mr. Chairman, you are aware, but I believe you are, that this country almost defaulted in paying their loan last year, which almost caused economic disaster. And therefore, we would not even be talking about CBS to implement today. We would actually be talking about whether we can sustain our workforce in employment. And so I am cautioning that as we discuss, and I agree that our lecturers, our staff who teach in our public universities are not adequately remunerated, and they need even better salaries, including other public servants. But again, we must also be alive to the challenges that we are facing. And in conclusion, it would also interest you to know, Chairman, and the committee, that in 2013, we were only spending about 16% of our ordinary revenue in terms of taxes in paying public wage bill. Today, Mr. Chairman, we have gone beyond 40% in a period of less than 12 years. Up to January this year, we were paying, our wage bill per month was 75 billion shillings, translating to 900 billion shillings per year. Today, it has gone up by 5 billion shillings more per month. It is now 80 billion shillings. That is 960 billion shillings per year. And that is not very good position to be in. It is not sustainable. And will end up crowding out capital expenditure if we are not careful. And if you crowd out funding of our development budgets, we will not have economy growing at all. And therefore, we may not even in future be able to pay salaries and meet other recurrent costs. I submit, Mr. Chairman, that this matter is looked into. We care about our public university staff, but we also plead that we agree on a formula that would not put excessive strain on our us. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, CS National Treasury. You also made a request that you'll want to leave early. I'll request that we'll be out of this place at not more than at 1:20. You want to be out, but most of the questions we'll ask will still come back to you. I'd wish that you sit through for the next 20 minutes. If there is anything you need to add and put, it will be good. I'll ask members that we want to be out of this room at 1:30. So I want to open the floor. And we want to be very specific and straight in our questions. I'll only have one round of questions and then we shall conclude. I'll want you not to give opinions now. Ask questions and specific to the institutions. If it is to the unions, Ministry of Education, National Treasury, let it be specific to the point. Each member will actually ask 2 questions. And if you think your colleague has asked more than that question, kindly do not, because we are constrained on time. CS, I want to ask this question on especially the last one to CS National Treasury. You've given an offer of, first of all, let me say, the issue now is on the implementation. You've given an offer of 50%. Is it, are the unions aware? Are you aware of doing, don't answer, you'll answer that. Are you aware that what the CS is saying, 50%, 2025, which is actually supplementary and the actual one, are you aware of that? 2, I want to direct these questions to the PS, the PS higher education. On the advisory were given in April by the Attorney General, and you decided not to follow that particular advisory, leading us into all this mayhem we have now. Yet the Attorney General is the advisor of government. Why did you decide not to follow the directions of the government legal advisor? And already the courts had made a ruling. Now that we are in a circus of strikes and counter strikes, offers and counter offers. Those are my 2 questions. Yes, let's start. You can start from honorable member for Luanda, and then we come like that. Let's be very brief.
Thank you, Chair. I will be very brief as you've directed. The first question will be to the CS Education. But as CS, the union seems to be angered and they're not happy with you. Why? Because the Court of Appeal made a decision, the AG advised, and you did not follow the advice. Two, the SG has indicated that they did write 3 letters back then, which you never responded to date. So they are not happy. 3, when the matter came at first, they came up with the correct figure of 7.9. You people insisted it was 623 until you finally agreed as to the figure of 7.9. One thing I wish to ask, because when you come into a negotiation, you come with clean hands. And it seems that we are where we are because somebody somewhere did not maybe take care of the other person's interests. The question is, why this long? Why this long? To the SG, you had a very good write-up, and I want to refer you to